Hello, and welcome to the Legal Growth Podcast, where we dive into strategies, challenges, and success stories shaping the future of law firms. I'm your host, Aaron Fulk, and together with Legal Growth Partners, we'll bring you in-depth conversations with top legal professionals, industry innovators, and firm leaders. Our goal is simple: share practical insights, innovative strategies, and real-world advice to help your law firm scale, adapt, and thrive. Whether you're navigating growth challenges or looking to boost your business development, you are in the right place. Let's dive in. This week, we have Vartan. And I'm not going to, can you say your last name for us?
Badalian.
Oh, that's way easier than I got all in my head about it.
All good.
Tell everybody where you're out of.
I'm based in LA, Los Angeles, California.
Nice. Originally from New York, though.
Correct. Originally from New York, recently moved, starting the beginning of this year.
Oh, just this year? I didn't realize it. Well,
That's
fun. All right. Well, I told you off camera, I believe you're our first guest from LA. So thank you very much for coming on.
Happy to be the first guest. Thank you for having me.
So let's jump in. Give us a quick overview of why you chose to originally pursue law and how that's kind of adapted for you.
Of course. I was in undergrad in upstate New York, in Syracuse, New York, with a focus on sustainability and just environmental action. And I knew upon kind of getting to my end of my senior year that I wanted to focus on something more. An advanced degree was in my path. I just didn't know which. And I realized that everything in the world kind of moves and shakes with the foundation of law. You cannot change the world if you cannot abide by the laws, set new laws and regulations. And that's what kind of set me down the path of going to law school, still with an interest in something to do with the environmental sector. And so then with that narrow kind of path, I landed on Lewis and Clark Law School, which is very well known for its energy and environmental law program in Portland, Oregon. And from there, the rest is history. And it took me down a path of where I am today.
So you're currently not practicing law every day, are you?
No, I did for a little bit, but I would not say that I'm practicing law traditionally in a sense right now, even though my degree and being a licensed attorney tremendously improved just my day-to-day workflow in life.
What are some of those things that you see like in the corporation world where that law training really helps set you apart than maybe some other people that didn't go to law school?
I mean, how much time do we have? I think it just changes the way you ultimately think, hold yourself, and speak to others. It changes and improves the way you write. So the biggest thing that I've noticed in my day-to-day, even though I didn't necessarily pick it up when I first started working out of law school, is just the ability to digest robust amounts of information, cut to the core of it, and then produce outcomes that are then digestible for others without all that substance that you first took in. The ability to analytically look at something and write, I think, is a tremendous skill that not many people get to train themselves until later on in their life, potentially. Whereas law school just gives it to you in an intense 3-year format, and it kind of changes the way you think. I think it's an incredibly valuable degree to have, even if those who do not go and then become licensed. It just improves the way you ultimately operate in the business world.
So usually we ask what's a non-legal skill that you've used in business. This is kind of fun. What do you feel like is a non-legal skill just in general that also sets you apart?
A non-legal skill in general, I would say the ability to listen. Not many people see that as a valuable skill, but I think you only are able to act proficiently in the business world or in life in general if you adequately can listen to people. And I think hearing what they have to say, whether it's a complaint or it's a direction to work on something, and then act accordingly, I think is a very valuable skill set that's not necessarily legal, but gets ingrained to you as well in the practice of law or just generally in law school. Too often people sometimes have their own perceived notions of something and they apply that. And I think it's an incredibly important skill to be able to act based off of what you've heard is in front of you.
So I find it interesting, like fascinating, I should say is a better word, that you started out knowing you wanted to be in sustainability, went to law school, ended up in sustainability. Where do you see that? And then you're in California, which has got to be one of the most sustainable states out there, right? Where do you see that law will play into as we try to get more and more sustainability within, our everyday lives? How do you see the law affecting that?
So This is a perfect question. I think I would have had a different answer 5 years ago compared to what I have now, in some way. So I specifically work in the transportation industry. So electric vehicles is my whole thing. I was in that space to begin with from the beginning of my career. 5 years ago or so, there was a huge push to increase, let's say, electric vehicle adoption for people. So states began to pass laws that would enforce sales for new vehicle sales to be all electric by X date. That's just a perfect example of how knowing what kind of laws to structure and pass to enforce change in the world matters. And I think just the traditional practice of law or just general policy and regulatory work, all of that to say has a direct impact on where an industry like sustainability, transportation decarbonization goes. It is not without law that we change the world. So I think it's extremely important and they're interlocked. And I think there's a role to play for traditional attorneys and then policy and regulatory professionals all kind of mixing together, and then a whole host of other various degrees of specialization in the legal field, from privacy to manufacturing and so forth. So like everything, law touches it all. And I think it's an incredibly important career to have in the sustainability space.
I always think of California and Colorado as two of the most sustainable states, but I was in Colorado for the holiday last weekend and I realized the Teslas are the cheapest cars to rent there. There's like a plethora because they haven't done a good job of, if you're going in the mountains or something, of being able to find places to plug them in. And it was such like an oxymoron when I was there. I was like, this isn't supposed to be Colorado.
It's crazy because even Florida has one of the highest EV sales in general. You would never think Florida, which is more of a leaning right state, that would have such an adoption of EVs. And it comes down to a generally non-legal conversation, but it comes down to the general notion of what's right for the market will succeed ultimately. And I think we're at a place now where EVs are becoming very much right for a lot of people, and the economics are working out.
Economics are definitely. I'm gonna adopt this last question. Usually we ask people where they see like the future of law firms. I'm more interested, where do you see the future of sustainability? And you've already alluded a little bit to how the law is going to play in that, but where do you see the future of sustainability if the law stays on track? Where do you see it going?
The future of sustainability, I think, is going to become, and already is, a part of everything as opposed to its own niche, its own department in a company, its own focus within a law firm. I think everything is being touched by sustainability, and it's almost becoming a way of acting and building your product, whatever widget you focus on at a company or what kind of practice group you had at a law firm. I think there's a layer of sustainability being added to it, even if the word sustainability is not there. I think it's becoming best practice to operate in an environment that is both beneficial for the planet and also the end user. And I think companies are moving in that direction. And it's incredible to see, having been in this space since the beginning of my education till now.
And you ended up in the perfect place for it. And to go to school in Oregon, that even feels more where you were supposed to be, for sure.
I agree.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And thank you for joining us on the Legal Growth Podcast presented by Legal Growth Partners. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, drop us a review, and share it with your colleagues because great insights are even better when shared. For more tips and tools to help grow your practice, visit legalgrowthpartners.com. Until next time, keep innovating, keep growing, and keep smiling. Thank you so much, Vartan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.